As a group of University of Michigan students, our mission is to explore and raise awareness about the complex relationship between social media, body image, and eating disorders by creating a safe and supportive space for open dialogue and shared experiences. Through education and reflection, we aim to challenge harmful stigmas around eating disorders.
Throughout our consciousness-raising group, we also used graphics like the one in the video, along with news articles to compare real research against the conversations we were having.
For our week 1 meeting, we went over our goals for our consciousness-raising group as well as our meetings for each week, who we wish to include in our group, as well as the relationship to class.
During our second meeting, we met up and discussed our plans for our consciousness-raising group. We came to an agreement that one of our main goals is creating a safe and welcoming space for talking about personal issues and struggles. We decided that one of the main stereotypes we wanted to challenge was the idea that eating disorders were only about getting skinny, when they are actually nuanced, complex, and individual for everyone experiencing them. Through group brainstorming, we set up clear definitions for a few terms like eating disorders, body image, body dysmorphia, self-objectification, and pro-anorexia communities. We too served as a real starting point for all our future discussions. It really helped our group initially learn about each other's points of view and form our group identity.
I feel like a lot of my friends ended up editing their pictures before they actually accepted the fact that they had an eating disorder, which I think is kind of like a precursor to it almost.
Something that's really big is when, especially these models and stuff, post, their workout journeys and stuff, and people were to follow them, and then when they don't turn out looking like that, that's what kind of leads to the eating disorders. And
during that time, you don't think of it as an eating disorder. I don't even think that I really counted it as disordered eating until years later when I started being back to my normal eating habits in a way. I don't think that I'm still soft, but looking back, you're oh my gosh, that was definitely disordered eating. I don't even think.
During week 4, we talked about how the concept of intersectionality applies to those with individuals with eating disorders, and we talked about how for a long time, white, thin women were portrayed at the forefront of the identity of the individuals that you would expect to experience eating disorders, but we discovered that an eating disorder is an individualized experience that applies to people of many different backgrounds and made up of many different identities. And depending upon your identity and what societal barriers are acting against you, multiple forces and systems of oppression can stack against you and make your eating disorder a more difficult experience.
It's a girl who's very skinny, or it looks like she might be have an eating disorder already. A lot of the times the comments are just eat, or talking about you want to starve yourself, blah blah. And I feel it's given a bad connotation of the sense of oh, you're just starving yourself to be skinny. And I think that people forget the fact that it's so much more than that, and eating disorders are very mental. There's a very mental game. And actually I was watching another podcast interview, and this girl got asked about her struggles with her eating, and she was there's two sides of it. You know what I'm saying? You can overcome the physical part, but it's so mentally challenging that takes so much more to get over as well. And I think that people that don't have one, or are looking at people who do, forget that. There's so much more the guilt and the shame and that, and the body. So I feel there's so much more to it than just.
I know one of the words that we defined was the community that supports anorexia and doesn't shut it down, but fosters that. I feel that's what the comment section is, because everyone is so unforgiving in there. There's no empathy or situations something like that at all.
I think the comments also trying to support it sometimes when people comment oh, I wasn't hungry anyway. Oh, guess I'm not eating today. And it's kind of people take it so out of context, and they're oh, don't post that. They're not intending for the audience to view it in that type of way, so it makes them feel bad about themselves, and oh, am I really that skinny? It as a bad thing.
You're scrolling on your feed and you see somebody like that, and automatically you assume it's the bias that they're trying to normalize it, they're trying to promote it, but in reality that's what's normal to them. And I also notice it's the flip side of things. With people, I don't know, maybe somebody has bulimia, we'll say somebody's more overweight, people will comment on their TikToks and be say the most awful things about their body. Skinny, doesn't matter what you are. It's just body shaming in general. And I think it's because there almost comes across this I don't know, this message that they're trying to promote something that they're clearly not, but you don't know what it's like to be in their head. And I feel it even gives a person more like opportunities to like further discriminate against them. I don't know.
I'd say like on the flip side of those comments, when people are posting like bikini pictures or like pictures in really tight clothing, and then all the comments are like, oh my gosh, body, like, oh my gosh, your body looks so good. And I think that kind of just like re-emphasizes or like puts it back into whoever posted its brain that like, okay, like my body looks good like this, like I'm gonna keep going through that negative cycle with food where it's like, say, like
On the 6th week, we met up to work on the video and reflect on what we learned throughout the course and our discussions together. Here are all of our reflections.
Being a part of this group, I've learned how eating disorders can transpire and show in different ways.
From our consciousness raising group, I've learned that eating disorders has affected so many other lives than just me, and when I was experiencing it, I thought I was alone, but it's become very evident that so many other girls and women, and also men, have experienced this at some point in their lives.
I've learned how wide of a role social media plays into eating disorders for a wide variety of people.
I learned how an eating disorder is an individualized experience for everyone, but everyone can unite together despite whatever their background is and live in solidarity together.
Was that eating disorders have like a lot of intersectionality and don't just have to do with race and gender.
I've learned that eating disorders can show up in numerous different ways, and it doesn't just have to do with weight.
I learned a lot about a lot of social media platforms that promote eating disorders in an unhealthy way.